Imagine a place where there are no trees, where every breath is a struggle, and the horizon seems to touch the sky. A place where even cooking soup takes twice as long because water boils at a lower temperature. Where daily life is a fight against nature, with icy winds, thin air, and temperatures dropping dozens of degrees below zero. And yet, people live there for hundreds of years. They've adapted to conditions that most of us would find unbearable. They raise animals, farm the land, bring up children, and pass on traditions in places where others wouldn't survive even a few days. Today, I'm taking you to the very roof of the world, to places that literally defy the laws of nature. You'll see what life is like where the air is thin, but the human spirit is incredibly strong. Before we go high into the mountains, it's good to really understand what the highest inhabited place on Earth actually means. We're not talking about research stations on Mount Everest or climber camps. Those are only for a short time. We're talking about places where people truly live every day, raising kids, going to school, trading at the market, farming the land, and relaxing in their homes made of stone and mud. These are places without fancy things. Electricity often only comes on for a few hours a day, water flows from mountain springs, and heating is a stove burning whatever fuel they can find. But it's right there, at the edge of what humans can do, that small communities have grown for generations. They've learned to live at heights where others wouldn't last a week. It's also important to remember that living above 5,000 meters above sea level is a completely different world. The air there has half as much oxygen as at sea level. Water boils at a lower temperature, so cooking takes longer. Even simple things, like walking or working in the fields, can make you out of breath and give you a headache. And yet, in these extreme conditions, real towns have grown. Not just camps or outposts, but full-fledged human settlements that have stood the test of time. La Rinconada is truly a city on the roof of the world. Located at about 5,100 meters above sea level, in the heart of the Peruvian Andes, it's known as the highest city on the whole planet. To give you an idea, that's almost as high as the peak of Mont Blanc in the Alps. Over 30,000 people live here, and every day they face extreme conditions. In La Rinconada, there's no running water, no sewage system, and no steady heating. Most homes are makeshift structures made of corrugated metal and wood. And at night, the temperature often drops below -10 degrees Celsius. What draws people to this tough place is gold. The city pretty much exists because of the mines that go deep into the mountains. Many people come here hoping for quick money, but the reality is harsh. Most miners work without any protection. No masks, no helmets, no safety gear. Instead of a paycheck, they have something called the cachorreo system. For a month, they work for free. And once a month, they can take as much ore as they can carry, hoping to find a bit of gold in it. The living conditions are more like a 19th century mining town than a modern settlement. No trash collection, polluted water from melting glaciers, and toxic mercury fumes used to clean the gold make La Rinconada one of the unhealthiest places to live in the world. And yet, people stay here. For many, it's the only chance to earn money. They say, gold keeps us alive. But it's kind of ironic, because chasing that gold is what has made La Rinconada a place where people live on the edge, both literally and figuratively. This city is a symbol of human determination, greed, and hope, a place where life is a daily battle with nature, the altitude, and yourself. Tibet, often called the roof of the world, is a place where the sky feels like you can almost touch it. Here, life happens at heights of 4,000 to 5,000 meters above sea level, which is where many people from lower lands start having trouble breathing after just a few minutes. Cities like Wenquan, Dingri, or Nag are some of the highest permanent human settlements on Earth. In Dingri, also known as Tingri, residents look at the majestic peak of Mount Everest every day, towering in the distance. This is where many expeditions to the world's highest mountain begin. Life in Tibet is a real challenge. The air there is so thin that it has half as much oxygen as at sea level. For most of us, a few days in such conditions would lead to headaches, sleeplessness, and symptoms of altitude sickness. And yet, Tibetans have lived here for thousands of years. How is that possible? Scientists have found that the people of Tibet are literally evolved to live at high altitudes. They have bigger lungs, faster breathing, and a special ability to carry oxygen in their blood, which lets them function where others can barely catch their breath. Their hearts beat more calmly, even though the air is so thin. This is an adaptation you won't find anywhere else in the world. But surviving in Tibet isn't just about biology. It's also about spirituality and a way of life. For Tibetans, being close to the sky has deep religious meaning. They believe that by living so high up, they are closer to gods and spirits, and every mountain, river, or stone has a soul. In their culture, daily life is mixed with prayer. Colorful prayer flags wave in the wind, and monasteries built on mountain slopes seem to hang between the earth and the sky. Many travelers say that in Tibet, time moves differently, slower, more peacefully, as if the space and height themselves make you think deeply. It's one of the few places in the world where living in extreme conditions isn't just about surviving, but also a way of connecting spiritually with nature and the universe.
What's daily life like where breathing is a luxury and every step can tire you out more than running a marathon? In places like La Rinconada in Peru or Tibetan settlements on the Himalayan plateau, life moves to the rhythm of nature, which doesn't forgive mistakes. The lack of oxygen affects everything. Boiling water? Seems simple, but here it's a real challenge. At 5,000 meters, water boils at only about 80 degrees Celsius, so cooking meat or rice takes much longer, and many dishes just don't turn out right. The fire burns weaker, and a cold wind can put it out in seconds. There are no trees either, so fuel is precious. In Tibet, people have used dried yak dung for generations, which becomes their main source of warmth. In La Rinconada, on the icy slopes of the Andes, heating is a luxury few can afford. Many homes are makeshift shacks made of sheet metal, with no insulation or electricity, where the only way to survive is warm clothing and neighbors helping each other. Farming? Almost impossible. The soil is frozen, and the growing season lasts only a few weeks. That's why the local diet relies on simple, high-calorie foods: barley, yak, butter tea, dried beef, and frozen potatoes, which can survive the Arctic nights. And yet, life in these places isn't gloomy. Quite the opposite. In La Rinconada, you can hear music from bars and see stalls full of people trading gold, food, or charms. In Tibet, colorful religious festivals are held every year, where residents dance to the rhythm of drums and prayers, and colorful prayer flags flutter in the mountain wind. Children go to school, women sell food at markets, men work in mines or raise yaks. This is a daily life that seems impossible to most people, yet here it has become the norm. Because even though the conditions are extreme, the people in these places show something amazing. That human determination and the need for community can overcome even the lack of oxygen, the cold, and the altitude that would be the limit of life for many. For most of us, just hiking to an altitude above 10 or 13,000 feet results in dizziness, shortness of breath, and the feeling like we're trying to breathe through a straw. These are symptoms of altitude sickness, which happens when there isn't enough oxygen in the air. Or rather, the air pressure is too low for oxygen to get into the blood properly. But for people living in La Rinconada or on the Tibetan plateau, this is everyday life. And what's most interesting, their bodies have learned to cope with it. Scientists have found that populations living at high altitudes for thousands of years, like Tibetans, Andean people, or Ethiopians from the Semien Mountains, have developed unique biological adaptations that allow them to function where most of us wouldn't survive even a week. How does it work? They have a higher concentration of hemoglobin, which is the protein that carries oxygen in the blood. This means every breath gives their body more oxygen. A faster breathing and heart rate. Their heart beats faster, and lungs work harder to make up for the lack of oxygen. Wider blood vessels. These help spread oxygen better to tissues, especially to the brain and muscles. Altered genes responsible for oxygen metabolism. For example, in Tibetans, a mutation in the EPAS1 gene has been found, which allows them to keep hemoglobin levels low, avoiding thick blood, which surprisingly gives them an advantage over people in the Andes, where too much hemoglobin can be a health problem. This is fascinating because it shows evolution in real time. Humans not only survived in extreme conditions, but learned to live in harmony with them, without technology, oxygen tanks, or medical help. Children are born there, where others would need an oxygen mask, and older people spend their entire lives working physically at altitudes that are the limit for most climbers. This shows that the human body is more than just a biological machine. It's a miracle of evolution that can adapt even to living in a place where there's half as much air as at sea level.
You'd think that people who have managed to survive for thousands of years in such tough conditions would be unstoppable. But today, life on the roof of the world faces new challenges, not from nature, but from modern ways of life and climate change. Global warming is changing the look of the Himalayas and Andes faster than ever before. The glaciers that have given water to villages for centuries are melting super fast. Rivers are drying up, and farming, which was already super hard, is becoming almost impossible. In La Rinconada, there are more and more problems getting clean drinking water and food. Plus, pollution from gold mines is making the environment dirty. In Tibet, the old ways of life are being pushed aside by cities growing. Young Tibetans are moving to Lhasa, Beijing, or Kathmandu, looking for jobs and a modern life. But even with all that, not everyone wants to leave. For many mountain people, it's not just a place to live, it's who they are, their spiritual side, and their freedom. They say that only here can you truly breathe, not because of the air, but because of the peace, the wide open spaces, and being close to nature. Some scientists think that in the future, life at such high places might completely disappear. Others believe that with new technology, like solar power, better ways to travel, and improved farming, people will still be able to live close to the sky. One thing is for sure, the story of the highest towns in the world isn't just about staying alive, but also about finding a balance. Between nature and people, between new ideas and old ways, between comfort and freedom. Life in the highest places on Earth is more than just staying alive. It's a story of being brave, never giving up, and how strong people can be. It shows that people can make even the toughest parts of our planet their home, where simple daily things, like cooking, washing clothes, or going to school, become a real challenge. But living on the roof of the world also teaches us about finding a balance between people and nature, and between old ways and new ways. These places teach us that real freedom sometimes isn't about having fancy things, but about being able to adjust and respect what's around you. Would you be brave enough to live 5,000 meters above sea level? What's harder, living in the desert or on the roof of the world? Or maybe you know stories of people who took on such challenges. Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell so you don't miss our next trips to the most interesting and extreme places on our planet. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode. Take care. Bye for now.